So I'm standing here doing nothing, just staring, because I'm trying to figure something out. It's time to start planting. And originally, I wanted to do corn again and do it in grow bags, but I realized I don't have grow bags that are big enough for corn. So now I'm thinking I want to do Three Sisters, and my grow bags are definitely not big enough for Three Sisters. So I'm just trying to plan out where I can put things in my garden. So I think I'm going to do corn and Three Sisters over here. I think I'm going to do tomatoes maybe right here and trellis them up because I saw this method where somebody had tomatoes going up over an arch and it was so beautiful um, and easy to pick, right? So I think maybe if I go back and see that I hadn't had tomatoes planted here in the last 2 years, that's what's going to go there. Maybe. um, Other areas, I'm not too sure. I did plant some strawberries out on the far side of, on the north side of the garden. Um, where we had been talking about me expanding the garden just a little bit way down on that end. So I planted some strawberries over there. I think I'm gonna do cucumbers over there too. The rest, I don't quite know yet, but there is one other spot I want to show you in my front yard. So meanwhile, in the front yard, I'm just staring here because normally I have sweet potato vines that grow here and I love them. They're pretty. They just fill in. I've showed y'all about that before. But now I'm thinking I need to grow actual potatoes up here because I'm out of space in the back and I don't have grow bags big enough to grow potatoes either. So I'm trying not to have to buy anything this year. So I'm thinking about just planting rows of red potatoes up here. The foliage will be pretty. You won't see the potatoes. It'll just look like it's a planted bed with plants. Um, I already showed y'all this bed. There's onions and scallions in there and some, ooh, asparagus. Look, look. That's asparagus. I love that. So that's what's in this bed. Onions, scallions, asparagus, and a few ornamentals. So that's it. I'm just trying to plan things out and figure out what I'm going to do because it's time to start planting. So amazed by this asparagus because I didn't expect to see this until next year because asparagus normally takes, I think they say 2 to 3 years to produce edible stalks. So essentially, you can see I've been cutting this back. You can see. Um, so every time over the winter, I just came out and cut it back because it had big fronds on it. You might be able to see a little bit better on this one. You see how they're dried out? I've cut this one back too, but they're dried out. But you can see that it was like, it looked like a fern, like an asparagus fern, which is exactly what it is, actually. So what happens is every little, there's more tiny asparagus. The heads that we eat, every single one of these little, I don't know what you call them, but they're like, it's on the head. Every single one of those, though, grows out into, like, it'll turn into a frond, which is what these things are, except they're big and they're green. This will grow like way up here, like they're really tall, um, if you just let the asparagus continue to grow. So that's how these grow. And I'm telling y'all this because hubby just asked me, he said, this is asparagus? When did you plant asparagus? I planted it like 2 years ago, and this is what's happening. We're finally getting some spears. I think it's so awesome and cool. Here's a good look at one, some asparagus that is actually grown out, and all of these little fronds here are what you normally see on the tips of the asparagus. Very pretty. All right, you guys, full disclosure now. I got a little scared and I'm mixing the potatoes in the front yard idea. The reason is because I know what the sweet potatoes look like when they're growing. The vine is beautiful. Everybody always comments on them. And I don't really grow the sweet potatoes. I think I might try to actually treat them like a crop this year. But I know what those look like. They're very pretty. I don't really know what the red potatoes look like when they're growing. I mean, I could Google it, but I don't know if I'm gonna like the foliage enough to have it growing in my front yard. So I, so I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. So I chickened out and I came up with something else instead. So this is what the vines look like, if you can imagine that on a bigger scale. Very pretty, um, lots, nice and bright. So it gives like darker areas a ton of lightness. Like it lightens it up really well. So that's what the sweet potato vines look like, and that's why I love them in my front beds. But again, like I said, I don't really know what those potatoes, red potatoes, are going to look like once they start growing. And then the other thing, real quick, before I show y'all what I'm going to do instead, is that I realized it doesn't make sense for me to grow root veg in my raised garden beds because I do no dig. I don't want to have to pull up anything out of the ground. Like I did plant some carrots over there, but only one of them survived. But before that, I had carrots in a grow bag because, they're big enough that they will disturb the soil down below, and that goes against no dig. If I plant potatoes, then same thing. I'm gonna have to dig that up in order to harvest my potatoes. So unless it's like really, what do you call it? Like root vegetables that are not so big, like turnips and beets and radishes and things like that, I really probably don't want to grow them in the ground. There's some beets over there. I've grown turnips in the ground before, and that's been okay. But for potatoes, I will have to actually dig them up. So real quick, let's take a look at my potatoes. Or no, first let's talk about what I decided to do instead. My initial thought was to take a cardboard box and grow my potatoes in a cardboard box. And then I thought, why am I doing all of this extra work? I started rummaging around for like different containers, different things that I could do. And I have a bunch of plant pots and things, but all of those are really small. Then I thought of taking this crate out and using that, which that still really is a great idea. I might still do that. But as I was out here, I realized that I have grow bags that have dirt in them already that I'm literally using for nothing. Like there's one right there's one right there, and there's another one on the other side of the garden. Initially, I had a pineapple plant in there. This one was just extra dirt that I was not doing anything with, so I just left it in the bag. And the other one had some turnips in it that, of course, I pulled, and there's nothing in it right now. So I thought, why am I doing all this extra work, making all this extra work for myself? So I'm going to plant in one or two of those grow bags. Now, let's take a look at my potatoes. These are my potatoes. Hope you can see it. Lighting's pretty bad right here. The sun is, let's see if I come on the other side, if you can see better. That's better. So, these are my potatoes. Some of these are a little bit old. These right here, they're hard as a rock. You can see they had already started to sprout, and I put them in the garage and completely forgot about them. So those are like, they might go in the compost. No, those might be trash. That never happens. There's never any waste in the garden or in the kitchen, but that might be a little bit of waste. These right here are not too bad off, so I'm going to go ahead and plant those. This one I may cut because it's a lot of potato that's still there. I may cut it and let it harden on the cut side and just plant this end right here, compost the rest. All of these are going to get planted. These babies look really, really good. So you can see they have nice little eyes on them. Actually, I could cut this into like 3 and grow more potatoes, but I don't think I need to. This is going to be my first time doing this. So I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is plenty to try to grow for my first time. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and get it done today because I have a lot of things that I need to plant and a lot of things that I want to share with y'all. All right, so this is going to be really quick, not really rocket science. Let's get down here. So this is my pineapple plant. Froze. It's dead. It's gone. I might try to reroot it, but probably not. And now what I have is just a bunch of dirt in this grow bag, and that's why I wanted to go ahead and use this up. Mix it up a little bit. Probably should have wet it first, but it'll be fine. I'll water it in. I'm going to take one baby and just stick it down in there, probably down to the middle, because it's supposed to have like 3, and I'm going to set my eyes going upwards. So So the eyes going upwards so that they reach for the sun a little bit better, a little bit easier. And then put another one on the other side, and that's all I really can put in a 5-gallon grow bag. Just cover it up, and that's it. And stick my grow bag back over here in the corner. And I do like to do this with my grow bags or any pots or things, because if there's any open space in the garden, the weeds like to grow up. You can see I had it sitting right here. There's nothing going underneath it. So I just moved it over so that I can smother those weeds over there. So we'll just watch this and see what happens. That's pretty much it, you guys. I was able to get this grow bag and that grow bag planted with potatoes. There's 2 in each because these are only 5 gallons, and that's about all that they can take without the potatoes ending up competing against each other. So hopefully we can get about 8 to 10 pounds of potatoes out of that, which is pretty much all we can do at one time anyway. And then I'll come back and succession plant because we don't have space to store those. And then in the other grow bag that I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and plant my carrots in that one today. So that is pretty much it from the garden today. This is kind of like a bonus because I don't get to come out here too much during the week, but not sure when I will air this. But today is, for just timing purposes, today is Tuesday, February what? Oh, I don't know. Today is Tuesday, February 6th. And so we wait and see how long it takes for the green to come up, and then how long it takes for them to actually be ready to harvest. So stay tuned for that, you guys, and thanks again for tuning in.